I want to start today by asking you to just pause for a second. Stop whatever you're doing and ask yourself the big one. The question that keeps us up at night. The one that's launched a million self-help books and probably just as many midlife crises. What is the purpose of my life?
It's the ultimate existential question, isn't it? It feels like if we could just answer that one thing, everything else would just click into place.
Exactly. We all want that North Star. And usually in these deep dives, our job is to find some answers for you. But today is going to be a little different.
A lot different, actually, because today we're looking at a talk by the mystic and yogi Sadhguru. It's called 30 Minutes for the Next 30 Years of Your Life.
Right.
And his whole take is, it's startling. He says that what is my purpose isn't just a hard question, it's fundamentally the wrong question to ask.
Okay, hold on. I have to stop you there. The wrong question. That feels a bit dismissive, doesn't it? I mean, humans have been asking this for thousands of years. It's what gets people out of bed in the morning. The idea that they are here to do something, are we really going to say that's all just nonsense?
I know, it sounds radical and maybe even a bit depressing at first, but you have to bear with us here because where he takes this idea is fascinating. He argues that seeking a purpose is actually a trap.
A trap.
A trap that can lead to misery or, in his words, even madness.
Madness. Okay, that seems like a stretch.
Well, let's unpack the argument. He starts with a really blunt assertion. He says, if you had a purpose and you fulfilled it, what would you do after that?
I guess. Find another one or, retire.
Right. But his point is that life itself is just phenomenally intricate. It's so complex you could spend a million years looking at it with absolute focus, and you still wouldn't get it, not entirely.
Okay.
So when you try to boil that down to a single sentence like, my purpose is to be an accountant, you're taking something infinite and cramming it into a tiny little box.
Right, you're trying to reduce this massive, complex thing into, like, a job description.
Exactly, and this is where it gets a little darker and maybe answers your skepticism about why it's dangerous.
Yeah, please, because I thought purpose was a good thing, a noble thing.
It can seem that way. But Sadhguru points out that if you look at history, the people who think they have a God-given purpose are often the ones who do the cruelest things on the planet.
Whoa. Okay, that's a heavy statement. Why?
Think about the mindset of someone on a divine mission. When you believe your purpose is absolute, maybe from a higher power, that purpose becomes more important than life itself.
Ah, I see. So the mission becomes the main character, and everyone else is just an extra.
Or an obstacle. You start to see other people and life itself as secondary to your goal. You can justify almost anything if it serves your destined purpose.
Humanity gets lost.
It gets completely lost because the purpose is the only thing that matters.
Okay, that makes a frightening amount of sense when you think about extremists or certain historical figures.
Yeah.
But let's bring this down to, the average person. We just want to feel like our lives aren't being wasted. Why is that a trap?
Because it comes down to psychological security. This is a really key insight. Sadhguru calls purpose a psychological trap that we set for ourselves.
Okay.
We feel small, right? We feel unconnected in this huge universe, and that's scary. So we invent a purpose to feel secure. He compares it to building a cocoon or a wall.
So it's a defense mechanism. We build a wall of I'm a lawyer or I'm a parent to hide behind.
Precisely. We build these structures, our identity, our titles for safety. But here's the paradox he points out. We like walls for protection, but we hate prisons.
That's a great line.
It is.
Yeah.
We want the wall, but we also want a door to get out. And when that psychological structure gets too rigid, we feel trapped. You see it all the time. People work their entire lives for a goal, and the second they get it, they feel suffocated.
I think everyone can relate to that. You get the thing you wanted, and now you feel locked inside it.
And this is where he says something really provocative. He says, only insane people have a purpose.
There's that word again, insane.
Yeah.
That's tough to hear.
It is, but look at it from his view. If you're constantly inventing a false reality, I was born to do X, you're basically prioritizing a mental idea over the actual reality of your existence.
Right.
Sane people, he argues, just live. They respond to what's in front of them. So if you're driven only by a made-up purpose, you might be, in a way, hallucinating your own importance.
Okay, I'm willing to go with you on this. But if we strip all that away, the purpose, the job title, the mission, what's left, I think that's the fear. If I'm not my goals, am I just nothing?
And that question leads us to the most crucial distinction in this whole deep dive. The difference between life, with a capital L, and what Sadhguru calls the ambiance of life.
Ambiance versus life. Okay, help me out here.
Mm.
Because to me, my life is my house, my family, my job.
And that's exactly the confusion he's trying to clear up. All those things you just listed. Your house, your family, your social standing, the parties you go to. That's the ambiance. It's the setting. It's the decor.
But it's not the life itself.
It is not the life. He defines life very specifically. Life is the throb of existence beating inside you right now. It's the biological, energetic process of just being alive.
Okay, but, and I have to play the skeptic again, that sounds a bit clinical. I am a throbbing organism.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very fulfilling.
It might not if you're used to the Hollywood version of what life is supposed to be, but think about the sheer complexity of it. He says you can't separate creation from the creator.
Okay.
The intelligence that turned your breakfast into you, that source of creation is throbbing within you right now. If you actually paid attention to that process, just that phenomenon, he says it would keep you absolutely engaged for 1,000,000 years.
So we're bored because we're not looking at the main event, we're looking at the accessories.
Exactly. We prioritize our thoughts about life over life itself. We think my life is a mess because our finances are a mess. But the life, the breath, the heart is working perfectly. We're missing the miracle because we're worried about the furniture.
That's actually a huge relief to hear.
Yeah.
But, we have to live in the real world. I can't just sit on a rock and marvel at my liver function.
Yeah.
I have bills to pay.
You're absolutely right. And he's not saying you should starve, but he is extremely critical of how we view work. He tells this story about talking to school kids, like 14 or 15 years old.
And let me guess, they all want to be artists or astronauts.
You'd hope so, but
Yeah.
no. He says they are already, at that age, stressing about earning a living.
At 14, that's just tragic.
It is, and this leads to what I think is the most humbling and maybe slightly insulting analogy in the whole talk, the ant.
Oh, the ant. I remember this part. Lay it on us.
So he looks at us, at human beings, with our massive cerebral cortex, the most sophisticated piece of machinery on the planet. And then he points to an ant. An ant's brain is 1/1,000,000th the size of ours. And yet, what does the ant do every day? It earns a living. It finds food, builds a home. Every worm, every bird, every insect earns a living.
I see where this is going. If a tiny worm can do it.
He asks, is it not pitiful for a human being with this incredible intelligence to dedicate their entire existence merely to survival, to just earning a living?
Ouch.
Yeah.
When you put it like that,
But-
it's true. We act like paying the mortgage is this grand achievement, but he's saying that's just basic biological survival.
Exactly. He says human genius is being smothered to death by this pressure. We're capable of so much, but we're using all our processing power just to gather crumbs like an ant.
We've turned a Ferrari into a grocery cart.
That's a powerful way to put it. And society pushes this. He shares this great anecdote about what he calls the what else shift in Indian families, but it applies everywhere.
All right, tell us that.
It used to be, in India, if you weren't a doctor, people would ask, so what else do you do? As if that was the only real option.
Sure. Stable, respected, the peak of survival and status.
But now, he says, the question has changed. Now, if you're not a software engineer, they ask, what else? The target just moved.
And his point is, people didn't suddenly fall in love with coding.
Not at all. They just identified that software is the new best way to survive.
Right.
We're choosing our lives based on survival efficiency, not on what actually engages our humanity.
So if we step off that treadmill, what are we supposed to do with this big brain? If we're not supposed to just be super smart ants, what's the alternative?
Well, this is where the conversation in the source turns to yoga. And again, we have to be really careful with that word. He is not talking about Lululemon pants and downward dog.
Right. It's not just a workout.
He clarifies that yoga in this context is about geometry.
Geometry. Okay, you're going to have to explain that one. That sounds like math class.
The idea is alignment. He says the whole cosmos is held together by perfect geometry. The planets don't crash into each other because they are in perfect alignment.
Okay, I follow that.
So, yoga is the science of aligning the geometry of your individual body with the geometry of the cosmos. And to explain this, he uses an image that anyone who grew up in the 80s will get instantly. The rooftop TV antenna.
Oh, the old aluminum ones.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember my dad on the roof wrestling with ours.
That visual is key. So imagine your body is that antenna. If the antenna is bent or pointing the wrong way, what do you get on your TV?
Static. Just noise. Snow.
Exactly. But if you turn it just right, if you get the angle perfect,
Suddenly the whole world pours into your living room. The cricket match, the news. Yeah. It all comes through clearly.
you've aligned it with the signal. He says the human body is that instrument. The signal, the cosmos, the essence of life is always broadcasting, but we're usually too bent to receive it.
Bent by stress, anxiety, our obsession with being a good aunt. Our geometry is off.
Precisely. And so when he talks about downloading the cosmos, he means getting your own instrument aligned enough that you can actually perceive reality clearly.
That's a huge shift. So instead of going out to conquer life with a purpose, you align yourself to receive life.
Yes. We are always trying to happen to life. He's suggesting we just let life happen through us.
And there's always but we have a limited window for this, right? We can't spend 80 years just fiddling with the antenna.
And that is the final heavy hitter of the talk, the urgency of time. This is where he stops being philosophical and gets very, very real.
He draws this distinction between time and energy that I found really helpful.
He does. He says you can manage energy, you can conserve it, you can boost it. Energy is flexible, but you cannot manage time.
Time just goes.
It's slipping away constantly. He says, as we're talking right now, we are all 2 minutes closer to the grave.
Thanks for that reminder. I was just enjoying the antenna metaphor.
It's brutal, but it's necessary. We act like we have an infinite supply of life. But we all come with an expiry date. The problem is, unlike a carton of milk, the date isn't printed on us.
It could be 50 years from now, or it could be today.
And that uncertainty should wake us up. But instead, what do? We procrastinate. We push living totally off until tomorrow.
And he has that amazing story to illustrate this, the story of Nala.
Yes, from the villages in Karnataka in South India, it's a superstition. People would write the word Nala in red paint on their doors. Nala means come tomorrow.
And why red paint?
The belief was that spirits or devils who are looking to cause trouble can only see the color red. So the devil comes to your door, sees the red sign that says come tomorrow, and thinks, okay, I'll come back tomorrow then.
That's a pretty clever way to deal with demons. Just tell them to reschedule.
It is. But here's the twist. Sadhguru says we are doing this to the divine. We're doing it to life itself. We say, I'll live fully. Tomorrow, I'll meditate. Tomorrow, I'll spend time with my family. Tomorrow.
But tomorrow never comes.
It never comes. It's always today. By writing Nala on our lives, we are just postponing our own existence until we run out of time.
Wow, that's a punch in the gut. It makes you realize how much time we spend preparing to live rather than just living.
And that brings it all full circle. Earning a living is too small a goal. Purpose is a mental trap. The only thing that really matters is living totally.
And we should clarify that, because living totally could sound like quit your job and party every night.
Right, and he specifically says that's not it. That's just another form of ambiance. To live totally means to explore every aspect of this piece of life, your body, your mind, your consciousness, before you fall dead.
Don't leave any dimension of your existence unexplored.
Exactly. It's not about career potential. I could have been a CEO. It's about human potential. I could have been awake.
You know, this whole deep dive's really flipped the script.
Yeah.
We came in looking for a purpose to feel secure. But it turns out the security is the prison.
And the insecurity, the not knowing, that's actually the opening. That's the door in the wall.
So let's recap this journey. First, stop looking for a God-given purpose. It's probably just your ego trying to build a fortress.
Second, remember the ant. Survival is basic stuff. Don't let your survival instinct smother your human genius.
Third, be the antenna. Work on your alignment so you can receive the signal of life, not just produce static.
And finally, wipe that come tomorrow sign off your door. The clock is ticking.
It is a lot to process. It challenges pretty much everything we're taught.
It does. It forces us to ask what we're actually doing here.
So here's the thought we want to leave you with. And we want you to really sit with this one. Don't just move on to the next thing. Sadhguru asks us to confront our expiry date.
If you knew for a fact that your expiry date was today, if you knew you wouldn't wake up tomorrow morning, would you still care about the purpose you've been stressing over?
Would you care about the promotion? The office politics? Or would you finally, maybe for the first time, just pay attention to the life that is throbbing inside of you right now?
Stop waiting for tomorrow. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.